Here again. Hi, it's David here again. Okay, yes, so I want to just take a couple of minutes and talk about that passive voice in our writing and what it means and when we can use it and when we shouldn't use it and what to look for when we're revising our work. So the passive voice has a definition. Let's see what it is. The definition here, the definition is when the noun that's acted upon is the subject of the sentence. So this is the kind of giveaway for the passive voice. Here's the example. The building was completely destroyed. So the noun that's acted upon is the building. And it is here the subject of the sentence. So the building was completely destroyed. That's passive. Here's something where someone destroyed the building, so let's write it a different way. How about an explosion ripped through the building? Now the building is the noun that's acted upon, right, and is not the subject of the sentence. The explosion is now the subject of the sentence. So this fixes it up. And of course, you can see there is a big difference between the building was completely destroyed and an explosion ripped through the building, or an explosion destroyed the building, right? It's now it's more active, and as a reader you can see it in your mind a whole lot better. So what does this really mean for us? Is the passive voice always an indicator of weak writing? Because there are some out there who will say, oh, you should, search and destroy all passive voice. And I disagree with that, because there is a time and a place to use the passive voice. We can use it for building drama. In other words, we can use it for dramatic effect. That is, when it's intentional. So that when we as writers are aware that we're using the passive voice and we're doing it for dramatic effect, then it's okay. I think, the obvious example is Charles Dickens' Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. This is passive writing. And yet, the way it's presented there with intention, it's done for a dramatic effect, and that is the effect that Dickens achieves with it. So we can use passive voice for dramatic effect when it's done with intention. So when we're doing it intentionally, it's okay. But otherwise, then we want to make sure that we're capturing more of an active voice. So one way of checking your work when you're revising it is to add something to the end, and if it still makes sense, then you're using passive voice. So for example, if you can add by vampires or zombies or monsters to the end of a sentence and it still makes sense, then it's passive. So if we go back up to the previous example and we say the building was completely destroyed by monsters, it still makes sense. And that's how you know this is a passive voice here in this example. Okay? So a couple of examples. No drummers were to be seen, nor anyone else for that matter, by monsters. So that is passive. He had been proven incorrect in his assumptions in other court cases by monsters. So this is also passive. It was designed to take less than 10 seconds to get airborne. This also, too, is passive. One of the giveaways here is the use of the word it was. And whenever I see like to be seen or to be drunk or to be whatever it is, or had been this or had been that, for me those are indicators of a passive type of voice. And so if it's not done intentionally, I will go back and revise those sentences when it comes time for that. So that's the passive voice. That's really what I wanted to make sure that you understood. The big thing is that we want to remove this kind of passive voice in our example here and replace it with a much more active voice. So good luck with your writing, and search out those areas of passive voice that weren't done intentionally and fix them up. Okay, we'll talk to you later.